So let's talk about the types of speakers. There's basically four types of speakers. One is called the celebrity speaker, right? You want to get Bill Clinton to speak at your conference. You'll pay the $250,000 or whatever that his current speaking fee is, and because that's a celebrity, people will choose to come to the conference because they'll have a chance to actually um, hear that person speak. And there's different degrees of celebrity, obviously. So that's a celebrity speaker, and you're paying basically for their name recognition. You're borrowing, okay, their name as a way to put bums in seats. The second kind of speaker is what I call the vendor. These are people who have stuff to sell. Maybe they sell technology, maybe they're consultants, but they're vendors, they sell and they would love to have an audience where they can talk about something which then results in more leads coming into their funnel. And I think most experienced event planners understand that vendors are there to sell, right? Some vendors are exceptionally good speakers, etc. And sometimes there's a way to say, well, you could do a vendor section, at a certain time, early in the morning, for example, or at a certain other time. So people, if they wish to have the demo or whatever it is from that particular vendor. So, the vendors typically would pay you for the slot, right? It's a privilege to be up in front of people, and it's a breakout or a keynote, whatever it is, but they would pay. That's vendors. Now, from an audience perspective, it's very exciting, okay, to listen to a celebrity. Maybe you understand a lot more about kind of what it's like being I don't know, the wife of a president or prime minister or whatever, Olympic athlete, whatever it is. For vendors and everything like that, the audience is often, some of them might care, others might not like the fact that they're being sold to, right? So typically you'd have those as a breakout. So anybody who goes there kind of knows, okay. The other two categories of speakers are what I call the industry speakers. So for example, somebody who's the president of a certain organization or the head of a regulator or the head of whatever it happens to be, an academic. All these people already get a paycheck from their day job. And the reason why they're an important part of a conference is because they can bring the perspective of their research in the case of academics, or their organization as in the case of a regulator or a corporate leader, etc. And they can bring that to bear. And that's also important for people to know. And guess what? Because they already are being paid a salary, okay, usually there's no charge. They do not charge. Or maybe there's you can pay them a slight honorarium or a donation to a charity. But those are industry speakers. There's a role for those. They're free, if you will, and they add a lot of value to the audience. But unfortunately, they might not be actually professional communicators. They might have that title, but they might be boring. Or they might not find a way to get the message through in a way that causes people to remember it, let alone act on it. They're not, most of the time, they're not professional communicators. The fourth group is what I call professional speakers, such as myself. And a professional speaker might have very deep knowledge on a particular topic. They may be a thought leader. They may have written a whole bunch of books. They may be in the media a fair amount, okay, but need not be. They usually will come up near the top of Google if you actually do a search for what they are. So for example, if you do a search for choosing a business growth speaker, okay, beyond the advertisements, I'll usually come up at the very top. So that's a professional speaker, but there's two types of professional speakers. One of the ones like me, a thought leader who knows how to communicate. The other are the ones whose business model is not to be paid a fee for that knowledge, but rather their business model is to sell programs and resources from the stage. So they'll give you little niblets of information, but the whole thing is getting people to write a check at the back of the room for their course on this or their books on that, or in the olden days, it was DVD and CD sets, okay, and so on. But they don't charge, right? And so all those speakers, the celebrities, the vendors, the industry speakers, and professional speakers, and the two types of professional speakers may or may not have a role in the stage. But I have to tell you, it's interesting as a professional speaker, when somebody says to me, it's a privilege to be able to speak to ours, and it's great exposure for your business. well, I don't have stuff to sell. Okay. And the people who are likely to say yes would say, okay, that's fine. I'm going to sell this. I'm going to sell this. I'm going to sell this. If you're not paying the talent to actually share their knowledge, the talent has got to find a way to make the money up somewhere. And there will be a sales pitch, and people will not appreciate it unless they're told this is going to be a sales pitch, in which case you're in the category of being a vendor again, right? And I think this is a very, very interesting thing. I've seen incredible speakers who are, speak to sell, if you will. Okay. But everybody who's in the room knows that they're going to be given a sales pitch on real estate investing or on a particular kind of program of whatever it happens to be. Right. And I think that is very interesting. If we actually want to make a difference, excuse me, we have to make sure that we're paying for what we actually want. Otherwise, the conference and the attendees will end up paying in a different kind of way. So I see there's a question from Audrey. Is a keynote speaker an essential part of a conference? Is there an ROI for having one? That's a really good question. I'd say, yeah. If you're going to do a 1 day kind of thing, you want to make sure the people in front of the stage are knowledgeable. They truly have depth in their particular area. They're going to convey the knowledge, but they do it in a motivating way. Keynote speakers are there's different types. There's ones that are purely motivational, right? They're telling you about their journey up the Everest or their journey through life. They don't have limbs or they've had a terrible disease, whatever it is, but they've had an extraordinary life, and they've got some lessons for that for the group. And because they're such expert communicators, guess what? Everybody will be motivated by it, right? But the question is sometimes motivated to do what, right? For me, I'm not a motivational speaker, but I'm a content-oriented speaker who motivates, right? So for some, for example, there's 2 keynotes in a conference. I might be one. A pure motivational speaker might be another one. The idea is you have to make sure that people are excited about it. You want to have people say, this is the best conference ever. You want to have people say after they leave, this has made a difference to me. The organization as a whole made a difference to me. Because if you just have the entire conference being breakout sessions, right? It's not the same. I'll also say one other thing. Most people, there's a joke in the professional speaking world. If you can't make them laugh, you're not going to have much of a business. Okay. And the reason why that's kind of a funny one is because if you're able to get people emotionally involved through stories or through having an emotional impact on them during the experience of your presentation, they'll actually recall what you have to say. And they're more likely to act on what you actually wanted. So, the question of what's the ROI, okay, is what do you actually want that keynote speaker to actually do? Is it just to entertain? Or is there some strategic sort of angle that you want them to take? Or is it a bunch of tactical things that people really need to learn in order to be successful, right? Or is it an attitude change that'll make a difference to your culture, right? And once you sort of say, okay, so what's the excuse me, what's the benefit to me? Then you'll be able to figure out the ROI. I'll also say that the better the keynote speaker, the more customization that they'll actually do, which means it'll be a relevant to your audience kind of thing rather than just a, I don't know, generic thing, which is boring, by the way, for the speaker as well as the audience.